Have we seen the last of Jerami Grant in a Detroit Pistons uniform? Coming up on today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by NBA Top Shot. NBA Top Shot is the future of being an NBA fan. Own officially licensed rare NFTs of the greatest moments from NBA history. Sign today at lockedon.nbatopshot.com. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. And per usual, I'm your host, Kuka Hill. You can find me over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. And if you have not already, head to our YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button. We just crossed over 2,000 subscribers a few days ago. We just crossed over 1,000 subscribers a few short months ago. We just crossed over 2,000. Let's go ahead and cross over 3,000 as soon as possible. We're continuing to show Lockdown that we are the best and fastest growing fan base at the Lockdown Network. I appreciate all of your guys' support over the last few months since creating the YouTube channel. It's really all the support since I became the host of the podcast. So I appreciate all the support. If you haven't hit the subscribe button already, you're trying to figure out best way to support the podcast, head over to the YouTube channel at Lockdown Pistons. I'd really appreciate it. But sadly, for some people, I'm not so sad about it. I'm not going to sit here in front with you guys. I'm not so sad about it. It is what it is. I kind of saw it coming. But we got a PR update from the Pistons today. Jerami Grant will miss the rest of the 2021-2022 season with that left calf strain that he ended up leaving in the middle of the game a few nights ago in the first quarter against the Washington Wizards. He only played, I believe, like 7 minutes in that game. So he ended up not coming back in that game, and he will not play another game for the rest of the year for the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons now have 7 games left in their season, so it's not like he's missing some big chunk of the season. To be honest, I kind of expected the Pistons to start like sitting guys down, start shutting guys down, start playing young guys a little bit more anyway. So this isn't much of a shock to me. I kind of saw this coming. Jerami will finish this season averaging 19.2 points a game, 4.1 rebounds, 2.4 assists, shooting 42% from the field, 35% from deep on 5.4 attempts. He shot 83% from the field and 46% on all 2-pointers. He only ended up playing in 47 of these games. Last year he played in 54. This would be the least amount of games he's played in a regular season in his entire career. So definitely probably not the best season that Jerami wanted to have as far as being available and wanting to be on the court. But that begs the question, has Jerami Grant played the final game of his career? Will we ever see Jerami Grant in the Detroit Pistons uniform again? And you guys know that we talked about this ahead of the deadline. I said that I thought we wouldn't see him again before the trade deadline, but now, obviously he ended up playing after that, and I was wrong. And don't think I forgot about the little fun thing we're going to do because I was wrong about Jerami Grant being traded. If you want to put something down in the comment section down below or tweet at me at Kuka Hill, something fun you guys want to do. To be honest, I was just going to end up finding a Jerami Grant jersey and just having it here and wearing it during an episode. That was going to be my thing to do. But if you guys have something more fun or more creative, go ahead and let me know. But anyways, will Jerami Grant play another game in the Pistons uniform? So his contract situation, he's under contract with the Pistons for one more season for $20.9 million. And after that, he's an unrestricted free agent. And obviously, there's this big talk, and it's been a lot of talk about this for the last few months. And really, it goes back to last offseason about this contract extension that he wants this upcoming offseason, somewhere in the ballpark of 4-year, $112 million. And before the season started, it was said that he was more likely to sign that extension before the season ended than him getting traded. Obviously, that's been a complete 180. I think it's very likely. I think we all would agree that it's very likely that he's going to be traded at some point during the offseason. I believe it probably will happen early in the offseason. But he is under contract for one more season with the Detroit Pistons, so there is a chance that he very well may be back in a Piston uniform next season. But in my best guess is I'm going to assume that Jerami's gone. Obviously, we've all heard about the Portland Trail Blazers being front runners for Jerami Grant. They were mega pushers at the trade deadline. I told you guys this at the trade deadline. Portland really wanted to go after Jerami Grant. They made an offer for him. They made a run for him. Pistons said no. I'm assuming the same deal that the Portland Trail Blazers offered at the deadline is going to be the offer that they offer in the offseason, something around that Pelicans first-round pick. Depends where that Pelicans first-round pick ends up landing because of their protections on it between 5 and 14. So we really should be rooting for the New Orleans Pelicans to struggle. But either way, I think the Pistons, I think the Pistons are probably going to trade Jerami to the Portland Trail Blazers. If the Pistons, not the Pistons, if the Trail Blazers decide not to go after Jerami Grant for some whatever reason, or if that Pelicans pick does not convey to them and it's some trash pick that the Pistons don't want, either one, they're going to have to up their offer, or two, now it turns into a little bit of a bidding war for Jerami Grant because there are going to be other teams interested in him in this offseason. But I do believe that the Portland Trail Blazers are the leading team for him. I do believe that we've seen the final game for Jerami Grant in a Detroit Pistons uniform. So saying that, let me say this. If Jerami Grant has played his final game in a Pistons uniform, how should we think about the Jerami Grant tenure in the Detroit Pistons uniform? I thought Jerami Grant proved people wrong. This is just assuming that he is. This is just assuming that he is done with the Pistons. That we won't see him again. I think Jerami came to Detroit. He proved people wrong. He wanted to show that he was more than just a guy who was averaging 12 points a game, off ball, just getting cuts and catch and shoot threes. He wanted to prove that he was more than that. He had more to his game, and he proved those people wrong. He was right. He did have more to his game. What he also proved, though, is that maybe he doesn't have as much to his game as he thought. Now, he 100% has more to his game than people thought he did. But this whole idea that he could potentially be a number one or a number two option, that's not true. He can't be that. Can he be a third guy for a championship caliber team? Probably. Can he create some for himself? Yeah, he can. Can he get to the free throw line? Can he get to the rim? Can he, is he a better isolator than people gave him credit for? Yeah, he is. He has an overall better offensive game that he proved in Detroit. So I think no matter if he's in a Pistons uniform next season or he gets traded, I think Jerami will absolutely look at this tenure in Detroit as an absolute success. I'm assuming he'll probably really like how he spent his career here in Detroit over the last 2 years. I'm assuming he'll be very grateful for the experience he was given and the chance he was given, because he really did prove people wrong and really give his career a second. Well, what's the right word here? A second stage here. He was on path to just being one of those guys who just sit in the corner and play defense for the Denver Nuggets while they had guys better than him orchestrating the show, and he didn't really get asked to do anything. He didn't want to do that. He wanted to prove he could be more than that. He wanted to prove that he was more than just a quote unquote role player, and he did prove that. So no matter how I feel about Jerami with his fit with the Pistons right now and whether I want him on the team moving forward, all that stuff aside, did Jerami Grant accomplish what he wanted to accomplish with the Pistons? 100%. He made his money. He got his money. He proved that he was more than the player he was, and he's probably going to turn that into an extension at 4 years, $112 million. So I think this 100% was a success for Jerami. If this is the end of Jerami with the Pistons, we don't see him. I appreciate what he did in a Pistons uniform. He played really hard, and he did prove people wrong. And I think everyone's going to be happy with what he's done off the court in the community. So we'll probably say all these things again in the offseason if he does indeed get traded that day when we record. We'll probably say this again, but I'm just wanting to get that out there now. If this is indeed the last time we saw Jerami Grant in the Pistons uniform, I think this was a success for him, and I think it definitely was a success for Troy Weaver too as a signing. He believed in Jerami Grant. No one else thought that he could do it. People made fun of Troy Weaver literally the entire offseason for this. Troy Weaver looks smart now. He was right, and he's going to be able to flip him for assets, 2 years later? This was a win-win scenario all the way around, and I think this was a really good thing that happened in Detroit. So we'll see what happens with Jerami in the offseason, though. Who knows? He could potentially end up on the Pistons next season. I don't think that's the case, but it could happen. When we come back, Marvin Bagley has been playing extremely well. I want to dive deeper into how it is that he's playing so well. What are the Pistons doing to put him in these situations to play so well, and why Dwane Casey really deserves a lot of credit for what's going on here. And what the hell happened with Sacramento? How did they mess this up? We'll talk about this in the upcoming segment. But first, I have to tell you guys about a couple of our sponsors. First up, let me tell you guys a little bit about NBA Top Shot. NBA Top Shot is the officially licensed NFT of the NBA. Connect with the passionate community of NBA fans across the globe and build your collection with your favorite moments from NBA history. NBA Top Shot is the future of what being an NBA fan looks like. It's part trading cards, part stock market, and part fantasy sports with a built-in loyalty program. NBA Top Shot has evolved trading cards and made it easier to buy, sell, and trade by removing the hassle of card grading, shoe boxes, and binders. Their 24/7 peer-to-peer marketplace lets you scroll through all of your favorite players and teams. Once you find the moment you've been looking for, you can buy it in a couple of clicks. Now, I hear all the time, why would I buy something that I can just watch on YouTube for free? And I tell those people that it's not about just watching a highlight. It's about having ownership in the stock market of the NBA's greatest moments. And owning NBA Top Shot moments can get you access to unbuyable, once-in-a-lifetime experiences. For example, last year Top Shot flew out a group of fans to Phoenix for Game 5 of the NBA Finals just for the Phoenix Suns moments in their collections. The following week, Top Shot flew out a group of fans to New York for the NBA draft, and these collectors got to have a dinner with 4 future first-round picks the night before they were drafted and play basketball with New York Knicks Obi Toppin. If you sign up for Top Shot today, the best way to start is getting yourself a starter pack. You can pull a moment of a superstar like LeBron or KD or star rookies like our very own Kay Cunningham for just $9. So head over to lockedon.nbatopshot.com to start building your collection today. And then let me tell you guys about another one of our sponsors, TrueBill. Do you know why free trials be new without your consent? It's a business scam out to get you. Don't let greedy corporations pocket your money. Download TrueBill to take control of your subscriptions. TrueBill is a new app that helps you identify and stop paying for subscriptions that you don't need, want, or simply forgot about. On average, people save up to $720 a year with TrueBill. Because companies make subscriptions hard to cancel, TrueBill makes it incredibly simple. Just link your accounts, and TrueBill will cancel your online subscriptions in just one tap. And your TrueBill concierge is there for you when you need them to. Cancel online subscriptions so you don't have to. TrueBill has over 2 million users and helps save them over $100 million. And like Matthew B., who says, quote, in a matter of seconds, I've saved $660 for a year on my DirecTV bill, saved $120 for the year on my Sirius XM bill, and saved $840 a year on car insurance, end quote. Don't fall for the subscription scams. Start canceling today at truebill.com/lockedonnba. Go right now to truebill.com/lockedonnba. It can save you thousands a year. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. And if you haven't already, head to our YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button. We just crossed over 2,000 subscribers. Thank you guys for helping us hit that goal. And we're on our road to 3,000 subscribers now. We're continuing to show Locked On that we are the best and fastest growing fan base at the Locked On Network. So again, if you're one of the 50% of people who are watching us on YouTube and haven't hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button for me. I'd really appreciate it. Best way to support the channel. But Marvin Bagley has been playing extremely well for the Detroit Pistons over the last few games. He just came off a game where he scored 27 points for the Pistons, his most since Jordan of the Detroit Pistons. His career high is 32 points, which he scored in his rookie season. But the question begs, what is really leading to Marvin Bagley playing so well? What is happening? What is Dwane Casey doing that's really helping him play really well? And let me just read you guys some stats. We're going to dive into this a little bit. We talked about it a lot in the last podcast, but I kind of want to dive even further into it. So when the Pistons traded for Marvin Bagley, my biggest concern, I came on the podcast and I told you guys that when they traded Trey Lyles for him, I was worried that they would just plug him into the Trey Lyles role where he's just floating around the perimeter. He's attacking guys off catch and shoot or off of dribble drives, pump faking, trying to orchestrate off of catch and shoot threes, all those kind of things around the perimeter. And I said that if that was the case, it would not work well with Marvin Bagley because that was not his game. He wouldn't do well with that. They would ask him to do a little bit too much, and Pistons fans would not like him as much. I said when they traded for him that they needed to take advantage of his strengths, which is around the rim, his finishing around the rim, his explosiveness, his length, his ability to catch lobs, finish off dump offs, offensive rebounds, all those kind of things. I wanted to see the Pistons take advantage of those things. And I had legitimate concerns, and I really was worried about whether they would do that or not. And credit to Dwane Casey. Yes, you guys should all get your phones out, write it down in your notes, bookmark this. It doesn't happen very often, I know. But I got to give credit to Dwane Casey because I think this is probably, if you want to be honest, I think this might be the best. Would you call it an adjustment since it's like a player that came in and he had to change the roster a little bit? I don't know what you want to call it. Adjustment, coaching decision, strategy, whatever you want to call it. The best thing he's done really this year, and you could possibly say like since he became a coach. This is like the best adjustment he's ever made. Because I didn't think that he would be able to do this. I really thought that he would just plug him into this free-flowing offense that just has guys standing around, and it would not work with Marvin Bagley. But that's not the case. He's literally used Marvin Bagley exactly how he should be used. He's put him in the best positions to succeed. And while we obviously give a ton of credit to Marvin because he has to go out there and do it, coaching and the environment you're around, obviously, as we saw from him in Sacramento, and as we see with rookies all the time, and young players who get drafted somewhere, the environment matters just as much as your skill. The environment that you're surrounded by, the coaching staff you're with, matters almost, I would almost say, more than the skill you have. And you saw that with Sacramento. It didn't work out there. So I do want to give a lot of credit to Dwane Casey. and Troy Weaver too, for building a nice environment, but also Dwane Casey for simply making the right adjustments and putting Marvin Bagley in the best position to succeed. So some of you guys may be asking, what is it? What is it that Dwane Casey is doing? How is he putting him in the best positions to succeed? So we're just going to walk it down. I have all kinds of numbers to read to you guys. We're going to walk it all the way down. So before joining the Pistons, in the 30 games that Marvin Bagley played with the Sacramento Kings this season, you're going to have to follow along with me. There's going to be a lot of stuff. The Sacramento, in the 30 games that he played with the Sacramento Kings, his average distance on his shots was 10 feet from the basket. So that means, if you guys didn't get what I mean, I think that was pretty self-explanatory. But if you don't, it means like each shot he takes, the average distance from the goal, he was taking 10 feet away from the rim. So it wasn't like he was just living around the basket. In the time that he's been with the Pistons in 16 games, his average distance on field goals is 8 feet. So he's living closer to the paint. Most of his shots are coming closer to the paint, around the rim, 2 feet closer to the rim. I feel like that right there is the recipe for success with Marvin Bagley. That right there is the shortest distance on his field goal attempts since his second year in the NBA, where he only played 13 games. Now, he only played 16 games with the Pistons so far. He'll probably, if he ends up playing the rest of these games, he'll end up with 23 games. So that's not a ton of sample size, but I think it's enough. I think it's obviously enough sample size to say that like this was a noted adjustment that the Pistons wanted to make for him, and they did the right thing with him for doing that. So that's the first thing that he's doing. He's just keeping him around the basket, keeping him closer to the basket, much closer than the Sacramento Kings did. Which again, I don't get why the Kings had him in the corner so much. He was floating around the perimeter a lot. I don't know why they didn't utilize him like that. I feel like it was relatively simple and easy to do with him. I don't get why they didn't do that, but that's just one of the things. So another thing is the percentage of his field goals that are assisted. So let's give you guys a comparison real quick. Like I think it was 3 years ago now, or almost 3.5 years ago, I wrote an article when I was with Piston Powered, one of the Piston blogs. I wrote an article and I talked about Andre Drummond, who was having a monster second half of the season. I think he was averaging like 21 points, 18 rebounds. He had like 2 blocks a game. He was shooting like 61% from the field over like the second half of the season. And that was the stretch run for the playoffs. That was when him and Blake, I believe the Pistons like 17-4 or something, and they had like the best net rating since the All-Star break. Like it was during that stretch where the Pistons were just wiping guys out before Blake got hurt. But Andre was playing really well. Overall, basically what I'm trying to say is I talked about how Andre in that second half of that season, his field goals went from being like it was around 53% assisted on to the likes of Rudy Gobert, who gets a bunch of lobs. He's not creating for himself. Around like 66, 67% of his field goals were being assisted. And that led to Andre being more efficient. Now it's the same thing with Marvin Bagley. Marvin Bagley should not be asked to create all these shots for himself. Does he show a little potential every now and then? Sure. He's able to take some stuff off the post, even though he hasn't been as efficient with it. There's some flashes there that show you, okay, he has a little talent to him. He's able to take some guys off the dribble every now and then, get to the rim. We saw that with the running left-hand runner and won a few games ago when he took a guy off the dribble. He's able to show some of those things, but he should not be being forced to make a living off that. That's not how he should be getting his bread and butter. It should be his teammates creating a lot of easy stuff for him and letting him capitalize on his explosiveness and his ability to finish around the rim. So let's compare the percentage of his field goals that are assisted in this time with Detroit thus far versus any time in his career. So in the 30 games before this season, or before he joined the Pistons this season, 59% of his 2-point field goals were assisted on. If you go the season before that with the Sacramento Kings, we're looking at 64%. The season before that, 62%. The season before that, 62%. And then his rookie season was 51% of them were assisted on. Now, if you look at the Detroit Pistons, in the 16 games we played with the Pistons, it's blowing it all out the water. He's at 70% of his field goals are assisted on 2-point field goals. 100% of his threes are assisted on. So we're looking at probably like 70.5% of his field goals have been assisted on with the Detroit Pistons, which, again, all that's saying is that they're not asking Marvin to do things for himself. They're not putting him in tough situations where he has to go get his own bucket, when he has to go isolation against a guy, where he has to post up and face up and do all this stuff. No, they're taking advantage of explosiveness. They're taking advantage of how well he is around the rim at finishing, and they're taking advantage of his ability to finish lobs, run in transition. Really, they're taking his strengths and really just maximizing those with their offense, building their offense around his strengths. And it's worked wonderfully. And again, I really don't get why the Sacramento Kings didn't do this. Like, it feels Marvin Bagley, it doesn't feel like is a hard player to like really utilize offensively. Like, he's very clearly talented. He's extremely good at finishing around the rim. He's shooting 86% in 0 to 3 feet from the rim. That is absolutely absurd. That's crazy. 86.6% at the rim. That's wild. That like 9 out of 10 times, anytime he's going up with the ball, either you're following him or he's finishing. That's literally crazy. That's like Giannis type of stuff. It's wild. So I don't see why it doesn't seem like a hard thing to like really figure out for me. But no matter what it was, Dwane Casey has figured it out, and he's utilized it to the absolute best possible. He's maximized it to the most possible. And with Jerami Grant being injured, what you're probably going to see for the rest of the season is Marvin Bagley in the starting lineup playing a lot of minutes, and hopefully they continue to play well. Now, again, I told you guys I'm not a believer in the pair with Marvin Bagley and Isaiah Stewart, but forget all that. And Marvin Bagley himself, he's played extremely well. He's done everything that's asked of him. He's played extremely hard, and his coaching staff and his teammates have put him in the absolute best position to succeed. I don't think they could have done a better job at maximizing Marvin Bagley. So you have to give a ton of credit to Dwane Casey. Again, write this down. I know you guys will make a big deal out of this, but a ton of credit to Dwane Casey. Heck, even credit to Kay Cunningham and Killian Hayes, two guys, and Marvin Bagley said this a few days ago. He's never played with guards who look to get him these type of passes, who are capable of making these passes. So he's really in like the best environment possible for himself. This was a great find by Troy Weaver, and whether he's a starter moving forward or simply a sixth man, this is going to be a great fit for the Detroit Pistons, a great fit for Marvin Bagley. This has been an absolute slam dunk trade, and as long as the Pistons continue to use him this way, he's going to continue just to feast on teams offensively because he's too talented, too good at finishing, and the Pistons have figured out a way to use him to the absolute best, and it's great to see. It's probably my favorite development of the season because I was really worried about it, but they've done an absolute excellent job of it. You got to give them a ton of credit. When we come back, we'll preview a little bit of the Pistons game tomorrow. Again, only 7 games left in the Detroit Pistons season, man. Make sure you guys are savoring every moment. We'll talk about that when we come back. But first, let me tell you guys about another one of our sponsors, Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure often pointless and seemingly intimidating questions like is your Odyssey an LX, and wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on the computer, choosing the only brand that their warehouse happens to carry? You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home or in your pocket by using your phone. Save time and money when you're using Rock Auto. Why choose to spend 30%, 50%, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or car dealership? For example, a Honda Odyssey fuel pump is $353 from a chain store, but just $216 from Rock Auto. Rock Auto is a family business full of serve-it-doing-yourselves for over 20 years. Rock Auto prices are reliably low for every single customer. They have everything you could possibly need: brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpets. Go explore their easy-to-use website to find the solution to your auto part needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, locked on in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. And if you have not already, or you're one of the 50% of people who are watching this on YouTube and haven't hit the subscribe button already, go ahead and do that for me. It's the best way to support the podcast. You guys are coming every day for the content. Might as well hit that subscribe button and get updated every time a new episode comes out. I'd really appreciate it. It's the best way to support the podcast. And all you guys who are listening just on the podcast versions of Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, wherever you guys are listening, thank you guys for all your support as well. If you guys want to find a way to support the podcast and do what the best way to support the podcast, simply just go to YouTube channel and hit that subscribe. And even if you don't want to watch it on YouTube, it's the best way to support it. I'd really appreciate it. But yeah, Pistons, 7 more games left in the season, man. They're playing the Brooklyn Nets at Brooklyn, and sadly, or good, depending on how you want to look at the rest of the season, Kyrie Irving is allowed to play at the Barclays Center now. So they're going to be at full strength, I believe, unless one of them have an injury that we don't know about and they end up sitting out, which you can never put it past the Brooklyn Nets. But what are you watching for in this game against the Brooklyn Nets? So I'm just looking forward to having a competitive game. The Pistons lose a competitive game close. Maybe they play the Brooklyn Nets really hard to the wire. You can expect some fireworks to pop off for Blake if he does play, because every time they play Blake, some stuff has to pop off. And then Andre Drummond's also there too. So maybe Andre and Blake, maybe there's some fireworks that pop off potentially. Who knows? Maybe watch for that. That could be funny. But yeah, I think everyone's just watching this game to see a competitive game by the Detroit Pistons. Eventually they'll lose and help their tankathon. Right now, the Pistons have the second best, or tied for the second best odds with Houston, which Houston is currently playing right now. Let me go ahead and check what the score of their game is as I'm recording this. We want them to go ahead and win this game. They're currently down by 5 points against the San Antonio Spurs with 3 minutes left. So who knows how that's going to end. But they're currently tied with Houston for the second most odds. Orlando has the same amount of wins, but they've played one more game. So basically, they're all three tied for number one right now. And you guys all know the top 3 picks have 14% at the number 1 pick. Everyone in the top 3 also has the same percentage chance at the top 4. And wherever you land, you can only fall 5 spots lower. We all get the gist. So that's why you want the Pistons to have the highest pick possible. So really the outcome for the rest of the season, not just tomorrow against the Brooklyn Nets, but against everyone, the 76ers, the Thunder, Pacers, Mavericks, Bucks, and 76ers again, is simply the Pistons need to play hard, play competitively, give it everything they got. If they happen to win a game because their young players lead it, so be it. I'll take it. But I'm definitely not going to be mad if they lose the rest of the games of the season. It's better for the big picture, especially if the Pistons can find a way to get that number 1 overall pick, to make it to where they can't fall any further than the 5th pick. That would be absolutely tremendous because Pistons luck outside last year. They did win the lottery last year, but usually Pistons luck, it doesn't go our way. So you definitely want to eliminate that as much as possible. But yeah, I think that's really the outcome for the rest of the season. That's what you're looking for the rest of the year. That's all that really matters, I think. Just looking to the future in the lottery. I think that's all people care about right now. And also the development of some of the young guys. It's only 7 games, so it's going to be a small sample size wherever we see. But you definitely want to see some continued strong play, continued improvement, and some things to go in on a high note into the offseason. So you guys already know the biggest story I'm going to be watching is my guy, Killian Hayes. Is he going to continue to be aggressive, even in the game against the New York Knicks? We mentioned how he fell away from the basket on some of his drives, but the fact that he was trying to get to the rim and continue to be aggressive, I think that's something that you want to see the rest of the season. We've seen that continue to get better as the season's gone on, step by step by step. And like I've told you guys for the majority of the year, I feel like this is basically the natural progression you would have saw from Killian Hayes during his rookie season. He's at game 84 right now. So he basically just completed his rookie season. How he looked at the beginning of last year to how he looks now, he looks better. Not like infinitely better. He doesn't look like he's averaging like 12 points now compared to his 6 last year, but he looks like he's figuring stuff out. He's getting gradually better. I feel like this is what you would have saw over the totality of his rookie season, heading into his second season, expecting a big improvement, etc. So that's why I'm looking forward to his next season. I'm basically looking at next season as his second season. He got his rookie year out the way now. He officially got those games. He got that experience under his belt. I want to see him continue to play well and be aggressive, trying to get to the basket the rest of the season and head into the offseason on a high note. I want to see Kay Cunningham continue to lead this team and play really well and orchestrate and control the offense and do all those things really well too. I want to see Marvin Bagley continue to be used correctly and continue to play really well. I'm sure some of you guys are interested in the Bagley front court. I'm not, but if you are, that's something you're going to get to watch for the next 7 games because that's definitely going to be the lineup they take, unless injuries, of course, knock on wood. But it's only 7 games left, but I do think there's a ton of things for you guys to watch for. I just named all kinds of. You guys probably could find out other things. I'm sure some of you guys are more fans of Saddiq Bey. That you like to watch Saddiq Bey a little bit more. You want to see if Frank Jackson can come back and play a little bit more or play a little bit better than he's been playing. Maybe Saban Lee gets some run. I saw some of you guys like Braxton Key. Maybe he gets another 10-day. Maybe he plays some of these games to end out. You guys get to watch that. So really, there's 7 games left. I know it's been a long season. A lot of us always say, oh, this has been a tough season. Let's get the season over. Let's hurry up and get to the lottery. But we all know it. Every single time when the season ends, all of us just wish Piston basketball was back. We're missing Piston games. We're all sad. We want those games back. We miss it too much. So definitely savor these last 7 games, man, because you guys are going to be missing it in the offseason. In just a few short weeks, it will be over. And everyone will be missing it, including myself, even though I've told you guys how rough the season may have been. And actually, looking back in this season, actually was pretty fun. We had some fun developments. Now, I don't want to give like an end-of-year summary here, like a eulogy basically already. We still have 7 games. I don't want to milk out that content already. But actually, it's been a little bit more of a fun year than I thought it was going to be like halfway through the year. So there's that. But I'm talking a little bit too much. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. Make sure you guys are making Locked On NBA your second listen of every day. Locked On experts covering the biggest stories around the NBA every Monday through Friday in less than 30 minutes. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Again, if you want to find the best way to support the podcast, head over to our YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. We're now on our road to our new goal of 3,000 subscribers. So, again, head to the YouTube channel if you can. Hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Enjoy the game tonight against the Brooklyn Nets. There may be some drama that pops off. Like I said, Blake, Andre, heck, even Bruce Brown back. You might be some drama that pops off. Competitive game. Keep it close. What's that little scene in The Incredibles at the very end? Keep it close. Don't win it, but keep it close. Like, come in second place, Stash. That's what the Pistons need to do here. But enjoy the game tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll recap everything that happens in the game against the Brooklyn Nets. And until then, I'll see you guys later. Go Pistons, and peace out, everybody.